Infinity Bricks, and I had a great opportunity this weekend to watch the Lego Batman movie. Now, the reason I wanted to make this video was really just to give you a review from a Lego fan point of view. And as far as like the film is concerned and how it kind of stands up to the actual current sets that are out, and also what sort of inspiration that might bring for any person that might be interested in mocks or custom builds or whatever. And also, you know, if there were any sort of things that may indicate that maybe another couple of sets might be coming out in the future. Now, I really don't want to give spoilers to this video, so what I'm going to do is just talk about the film in a general sense. The Lego movie itself I thought was absolutely brilliant. When it came out, it was something I'd never seen before. The way it was animated, the actual style, and the story was really heartwarming. So it kind of took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting it to be that good. But actually, the Lego movie was responsible for kind of rekindling my passion for Lego. Now, I've been a Lego fan over the years. As a kid, I was a massive fan. During my college years, I bought some Lego Star Wars sets and really loved having them on display. And every now and then, you know, I've kind of dabbled in the Lego side of things, but never kind of to the level that I'm doing right now. But when the Lego movie came out, it rekindled my love for Lego. Watching that film just reminded me why I love Lego, and it was so nostalgic. And one of the things I thought worked really well is actually how they combined a lot of the sets from different universes. Obviously you had the kind of Lego City, but then you had those nice little nods to Lego Star Wars and DC superheroes. They even mentioned the Simpsons and Lord of the Rings and all that kind of stuff, and it all worked really well just to kind of remind me of, you know, what it is about Lego that's so cool. So there was a lot to live up to, I feel, for the movie. It's kind of a challenge just to come in fresh. I think if this film came out when the Lego movie came out and nobody really knew what to expect, I think the reviews that are out there would be a lot higher than what they are. I've listened to a lot of the reviews, I've kind of heard what people had to say, and I'm surprised at the score that's been given just because, you know, they've seen something like this before. But actually, I thought this worked really well. Now, it's interesting, if you're a Batman fan, then obviously you're going to have a different take to this film than if you're just a standard viewer, or even if you're a Lego fan in general. So I am a Batman fan, and I'm also a Lego fan, so just want to kind of give you my perspective. Now, from a Batman fan, I never went into this expecting to see anything canon. I never thought that we would have like any sort of story arc that's going to be linked to any movie that's come out or any comic that's been released. I just thought this was going to be a standalone comical story which was going to give reference to things, and but itself, within itself, is in its own universe. And if that's what you're expecting, actually that's what it is. It isn't a film which is based on a story that's already been written or something that's been in a game or a movie or whatever. This is literally a standalone separate universe, if you like, for Batman. And it is really just fun from beginning to end. It really just pays homage to a lot of stuff. So there's references to all of the Batman films, really, but they're all little nods. There's nothing major. Now, some of the things that you've read, you may read up on some of the characters and how they've been used. Now, just to make this clear, the film purely focuses on main characters being Batman, Robin, Batgirl or Barbara Gordon, and the Joker. And what's interesting is that a lot of the sets that have been released, it's not been clear as to what the story might be. And I think you'll be quite surprised, pleasantly surprised as to what the story is. It's actually probably something quite different to what you thought. If you have watched it, you'll know what I'm talking about. The angle that they took there was something which I didn't expect to see at all. Now, from a Lego fan point of view, in comparing it to the previous film, I kind of think the other film might have worked a little bit better for Lego fans generally, purely because it was all about building, it was all about the construction and creating, and it was all about making something your own. And it was also exploring kind of like the dark side of that, where there's the obsession and trying to sort of keep it perfect and not have it destroyed or dismantled. And also it showed very clearly that Lego was really built for kids and, you know, for families to play together and things like that. And that message is what Lego's about, and I feel that works really well. And it's very heartwarming, whereas this story is not necessarily all about the creativity or the build or anything like that. And actually it's not at all. It's more about just the personality and the character of Batman and a journey that he's on. Now, from the trailers you get the gist of it, so this really isn't a spoiler, but obviously Batman's alone, he's lonely, and then suddenly this kid comes into his life, Dick Grayson, who obviously becomes Robin. There's a new set of challenges for Batman. How does he work with somebody? How does that kind of happen? And if you know kind of like the Batman stories, he works with a lot of people. You know, you've got obviously the Justice League, Batgirl, Nightwing and all that. So his whole story develops from being a sort of isolated character more to kind of being somebody that would work in a team. Now, this film really focuses on that. How does that transition happen? It's not done in a canon way, it's just done in a fun way. And it also explores a lot to do with like the villain and the Joker and the relationship between Batman and the Joker. So I feel they do really well there. But just kind of feel from a Lego fan point of view, you're not going to find as much here as you would do in the Lego movie. But if you are a Lego fan and a Batman fan, I think you're going to thoroughly enjoy it, and you may actually enjoy it a lot more. Now, what I really liked about the film is the humour. There's humour all the way through. I do love the take on Batman. I think it's really funny. I love the fact that they've gone for this arrogant Batman who's obviously very cocky and very confident, and the fact is he's really good at what he does. I love the angle of that, and I love the naivety that they brought in with Robin, who's just a kid, just totally doesn't know what's going on, and suddenly has stumbled into the life of Batman and what that means. And it just plays out really well, and there's a lot of heartwarming scenes between the two of them, and I think it was great. I really do. What was interesting to me though is the sets and the context of those sets within the film. How much screen time are they given? How iconic are they in the scene? And is it something that from a custom build point of view I might want to build on to develop and grow a scene? Well, what was interesting is that a lot of the stuff didn't necessarily fit into the film for very long at all, and actually was very, very brief. I don't want to get into any spoilers, but obviously from the standout is the Batmobile is in the film a lot, you know, so you can't go wrong with that. The lowrider gets a great scene, and there's a couple of scenes with it as well, so you kind of feel like you're getting something which is very iconic to the film. The Scuttler's in it a lot, probably more than the Batmobile to be honest, but a lot of the other sets are very sort of brief and very quick on screen. So you do see the vehicles, you know, obviously you've got the Riddler vehicle, the Penguin vehicle, and they are on screen. I was looking out for them, but they're not on for very long. And what I found quite interesting is there's obviously been a few reveals recently for some of the newer sets that are going to be coming out in the summer, and one of the set includes the Mutant Leader, which is a character from The Dark Knight Returns, which is a comic, and I don't actually remember him at all in the film. I mean, I'm sure he was there, but I just don't remember him. I just can't think of when they might have actually put him front and centre. He was probably at the back somewhere, but I definitely don't think they brought him front and centre. I could have been completely wrong, and if I am wrong, please make a note of that in the comments if you can tell me whereabouts he was, but I completely missed him. Now, I may have missed him because I was sat around loads of kids in the cinema and happened to have a kid next to me who was jumping about quite a bit, so it was a little bit of a distraction and I may have missed something, but if it was there, put it in the comments, let me know. Be interesting to know where he was. But obviously a lot of the other stuff was in there. The actual Batwing as well, the new Batwing, I think it looks great, it's fantastic. And I was looking at the builds in the film to compare them and to see, do they actually look similar? Are they quite different? And the builds are really similar. The Batwing is a little bit smaller, the retail set that's coming out, but the overall look of it is very, very similar. The Batmobile looks the same, Lowrider obviously looks the same, and a lot of the villain vehicles just look the same. They're really built really well. What's interesting is the sets that include, I think you've got it with the pizza, Scarecrow pizza delivery set, and the Mr. Freeze set, and I think actually even the Joker's balloon set. You know, they've got these things that all attach together and they kind of explode. Now that scene didn't get a huge amount of screen time. It actually happens very, very quickly, and it's not actually that central to the film, but it seems interesting that they actually built quite a lot of sets to be based around that scene. So I don't know whether Lego received like a snippet of the film and maybe just the beginning part, and then they decided to build that part of it, because it really is very, very quick and very fleeting at the beginning, and it isn't actually a huge part of the actual plot. So interestingly, they have actually included a lot of that within their sets. So now you've seen the trailers, and obviously the Batcave that we have is considerably smaller than the actual Batcave. And you know, thinking about it going into the film, I was thinking, okay, what sort of elements of the Batcave could I kind of bring in? But actually, when you watch the film and you see it's so much bigger than you think, and there's so many more kind of contraptions and areas. It's a really big Batcave. There is actually quite a lot to it, and I think it's going to be very difficult to kind of give justice to that in a custom build or a mock unless it is quite big. So there's a lot of challenges there. I love the fact that they've got these vehicles you've seen in the trailer, they're all stacked up, but they also have these cars that are kind of on this sort of spiral spinning around. They have that in there, and there's a huge amount. But a vehicle that I was very pleased to see was the 1960s Batmobile. It was very quick, very brief. I don't think it was central screen. It may have been just in the background, slightly out of focus, but I definitely saw it there. The 1960s Batmobile was really cool to see that. And I do want to build a custom Batcave, and I did have in mind that I wanted to put that one specifically in it. And I'm very pleased it was in the film because, yeah, that can go in too. So there's a lot of inspiration there. And the other build is Arkham Asylum. Now, I'm a great fan of Arkham Asylum Breakout set. That was the last Arkham set we had. And if you've seen a few of my videos, you can see that I've already sort of done some custom stuff with Arkham Asylum. And when I did see this set, I did feel it was a little bit simple. I do like it, but the set itself was quite simplified. Now, I was interested to see how was that going to be conveyed on film. And I can say, actually, I'm almost quite surprised at the build because it really doesn't look much like Arkham Asylum at all to me. I mean, it probably is the best that they could have done to kind of give a smaller version of it, but when you've seen the film, you'll notice and you'll see it's actually a lot bigger. It's quite epic. You probably, even with 4 sets, you may just start to capture what Arkham Asylum looks like, but one set definitely won't capture it. It is a lot bigger, and if you're wanting to kind of do something like replicate that in some way, you're going to be looking at 4 of these sets, probably more. It's going to be a lot higher, a lot wider. And they do show an area of Arkham which is actually kind of like the forecourt, in the sense of like playground area or whatever you want to call it, where, you know, villains might hang out and stuff like that. They do show an area like that, and obviously the build itself only has the kind of basketball hoop, which is the only way they kind of show that there might be an outdoor area. But there is a big outdoor area, and I feel if they added more to it, if it was more around about the 175 or 199 mark, obviously that puts it out of reach for a lot of people. But, you know, looking back at the Lego movie, they had the Sea Cow, which was also a very expensive set, so it's not unusual for Lego to bring out a really big set for something like this. I kind of feel that this set could have really dealt with having a lot more bricks and being a bit more epic and kind of capturing that a little bit more. So in some ways, you know, I'm not disappointed in the set, but I really do feel that you're going to want to add to it, you want to build on it, you want to kind of do more to it to kind of really capture that area of the film. Apart from those 2 sets, the other sets and builds and figures and things fit in really, really well. They do look identical, slight scale difference, like I say, on the Batwing, but the Scuttler looks amazing. It just really does look very, very similar. Now, there are a few other additions in the film that I think, obviously, you'll know there's lots of other Batmobiles from the trailer. They're all kind of hanging up on the side, and there's a Batmobile towards the end, which will be very interesting to see whether or not Lego actually released that. I think it looked really cool. It would be great to have that as a set, so I won't tell you what it looks like specifically, but obviously just be aware that there are obviously a lot of Batmobiles. That one in particular had a bit more screen time, so I do hope that we kind of see it. And there's a lot of more additions and surprises, characters, minifigures and things like that I could mention to you, but I don't want to do that because I think you need to see the film. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. There's a couple of nice little nods and surprises in there. Now, one of the figures I do want to mention, it's not a figure so much because it hasn't been announced, but it's one 100% I really hope that they're going to release. So when the film is finished, they have their kind of the credits coming up, and what they decided to do here is they kind of had this kind of music video style animation happening. In the Lego movie, it was done with credits with like Lego pieces and things like that. In this one, they actually chose to use the characters in the film and have them kind of like dance out in a kind of music sequence, and they're all dressed in a very specific way, and all very, they all look really different to the characters in the film, and I would love to see all of those characters in these costumes that they're wearing, but I don't think Lego would do that, except I really hope for one figure they do have a Joker dressed in this kind of Elvis-like costume, and he's got these gold sunglasses and kind of like a big medallion around his neck with a J. He looks absolutely awesome, and I just thought to myself as soon as I saw it, oh, I so hope they release that as a minifigure. So much fun, looks brilliant. Who knows, see, you know, they may do that, and if you see that in the film, you know what I mean. He does look really, really cool. Now, a lot of the characters are kind of designed in similar ways, but that costume in the lowrider would make him look absolutely brilliant. So who knows what Lego's got planned. Comparing the 2 films, I feel personally I like the Lego Batman movie more, purely because of my Batman passion. But as far as a film is concerned, what is the better film? I actually think the Lego Movie is actually a better film. It's more heartwarming, and as far as passion for Lego and what Lego's all about, that message comes across really, really well. So that's my view as a Lego fan and as a builder, somebody that kind of wants to build mocks, wants to kind of like emulate some of the areas in the film. Watch it, really enjoy it. If you're into buying the sets, you're not going to be disappointed. I just think you'll love it and enjoy it. So look forward to hearing your thoughts on this review, really, and stick those comments in below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you again shortly.